Hello, my friend. Today, we have the second lesson of the fourth week. How are you doing? I'm very worried about you. I know how it may be difficult when you start changing. How often it happens that your family and loved ones do not support you. It hurts. But you must understand that this is a common thing, this is a natural thing. I was in the same position. All people were. All people who start developing, changing, usually have problems with their existing surroundings, because you become a different person. They are used to you the way you were before. They do not want you to be different. Basically, they care about what they can get from these relationships. They do not really care, which, of course, is very painful and hurtful. They do not really like who you become, how you grow, what you will be like. They just start panicking and getting angry that you are changing and becoming a different person. They think they are losing you. So you must understand that this is actually the most difficult thing on the path of personal growth, personal development. Your relationships with your surroundings change. Usually they become worse with those you communicate with now. This is the most difficult aspect. But don't worry, many other people and I have gone through this. This is the only way to become happy, to find yourself, to unlock your potential. By the way, the topic of our lesson today is relationships. This is one of the most important topics. Actually, according to my philosophy, everything in our life, absolutely everything, consists of relationships. Relationships with yourself, I have relationships with myself, and with the power that created me. Many people call it God, nature, creator, whatever. But basically, any person of sound judgment understands that there is some kind of power that is higher than us, that created me. Like there is someone who created a computer. Computers do not appear by themselves. Nothing appears by itself, meaning that I did not appear by myself either. Someone created me. That is why I call it relationships with the Creator. I have relationships with myself, I have relationships with the Creator. These are the relationships no one sees, that are inside me, and of course they are the most important ones. Now I will briefly list all the relationships, then we will discuss each of them in detail. Then there are relationships with those close to you, your family, and friends. These relationships are not based on money. They must never be based on money. These are so-called barter relationships, when you help each other. These must never include calculations of what and how much something costs. Relationships in a family, with parents, with children. These are different relationships, with parents, with children, and with a spouse. We cannot choose parents or children. Usually, when relationships with our parents are quite complicated, especially when we begin to grow personally, because basically they raised us, influenced us when we could not do anything against it. We were little, we were dependent. Everything that was put into our heads by our parents, by our school, entered into us without any obstacles. Then we became adults. And usually, 1% of people who are not satisfied with their lives start at 20, at 25, 30, maybe even older, start changing, taking the path of personal development. This is the path you have started now. For parents, usually, it is a little incomprehensible and shocking, because what they wanted to give you, they did. And now you start acquiring new knowledge, changing. When you acquire knowledge in physics or mathematics, it does not bother them. But when you acquire some deep philosophical knowledge, some kind of competition appears. Because they have laid down all these main principles in you, and now you start changing, acquiring some new principles. But we cannot choose our parents. We should be grateful to them. Sure, there were some negative things. Everything cannot be positive all the time. But basically, they loved us, did everything they could, brought us up, got us on our feet. Therefore, we must always be grateful to them and build relationships with them very carefully. The main thing is to start living separately, as quickly as possible. To become an adult, you must start living separately from your parents, as quickly as possible, and do not depend on their finances. Then, relationships with children. Here we have an opposite situation. Here we are powerful and mighty, especially when the children are young, but we put everything we can into them. We love them. Nature gives us this feeling of unconditional love. Children receive, receive, receive. They only want to take. They do not want to give. By the way, the main thing in a relationship is the law of giving and receiving, the exchange of energy. You want to receive a lot, you need to give a lot. Children do not know this law. They do not understand it, so they only take. But the nature is that we love children very much, so we are ready to give. The next family relationship is between men and women. The most difficult relationship in this second type of relationship with close people, there are three types of relationships: with oneself, with those dear to us, and with distant people, as I call it. This is business. When you build relationships with society, this is the third type of relationship. And the second type is the relationship with dear people, parents, children, and a husband or wife. The most complicated, of course, is the man-woman relationship. We will talk a lot on this topic within these 52 weeks. The basic thing that I wanted to say, based on my experience, is what is the most important for a person who has started the path of personal development, for whom growth is in the first place. The main thing is that the wife and husband were like-minded people, so that they both have growth in the first place. A very good family is when he has growth in the first place and she has growth in the first place. If he has growth in the first and she has family, there will be a problem. She will constantly persuade him to spend weekends with some relatives and visit some birthday parties, weddings, and he will want to read books, study, and they will have conflict. And this will be the beginning of the end. Therefore, when both of them develop, they help each other on the path to God, as I call it. That is, human development is when a person tries to be closer to God, to the Creator. So if both want to be closer to the Creator, they just help each other. They understand that the main thing is not the relationship between them, but the desire to develop and help each other, to achieve success in a social sense, in society, in business. You need to learn how to build the third type of a relationship. This is a relationship not with relatives, not with friends, not with close people. This is the kind of relationship that a significant minority has learned to build. Those who achieve great results in business are the people who manage to build relationships not with their dear friends or close people. All these relationships are based on money. These are relationships with customers. These are relationships with employees. These are relationships with investors, if your company starts developing. These are relationships with the state taxes, employee salaries, customer services, or goods. And note that there is always exchange and money. You exchange money for labor, you pay to an employee. He or she works for you. With the customer, it is the other way around. You give him or her goods or services, he or she pays you. You give money to the state, it protects you, and so on. Creates an environment where you can successfully develop your business. Therefore, if you understand this, it becomes clear that the more you give, the more you get. The more you put your heart into work, the more money you get. The more you put your heart into a service, or a product, or a customer, the more you get money from the customer. The faster your business will grow and prosper. In relationships, you need to constantly practice this movement of energy, yin and yang, inhale, exhale, give, receive, give, receive, give, receive. The more you try to give, the more you get, but you need to know how to take too. And the main thing in a relationship, the most important thing, is to always keep an eye on the balance. Your homework. Write down a list of people who, in your opinion, are a very important resource for you, who help you on your path to happiness and success, who make you stronger, who believe in you, who support you, maybe are your teachers. By the way, in a relationship, it is not necessary to be acquainted. For example, we may not have been acquainted, but we have relationships. I give you my energy, you give me your time, we exchange, you write feedback. Therefore, to grow, remember this rule. You need as many people as possible around you who help you grow, and as few people as possible who prevent you from growing. So make a list of those who help you to grow, and make a list of those who prevent you from growing, who does not believe in you, who treats you sarcastically, and your statements, your thoughts, your desires, who is trying to get at you all the time, maybe a little, and deep down inside is afraid of you. And you'll become a more successful person than he or she is. I am sure you feel these people. Maybe you have not just been aware of it. Please write this kind of list. By the way, these may be close people, and it is sad, but life is what it is. It is true. We all face it. So, your first part of your homework is to write, and the second is to spend as much as possible. Double the time of those who believe in you. By the way, I say it again, you don't need to be acquainted. For example, you read a book and you feel like the author believes in you. How this book inspires you, how this knowledge resonates with you. Read more. Listen more to such videos on YouTube. This is the first thing. And the second, reduce as much as possible to minimum, preferably by 2-3 times, communication with people who who drain you. There are people who charge, and there are people who discharge. It is also very important to understand that if you really choose the path of self-improvement and growth, breaks of relationships are inevitable. This is very painful, but there will be some relationships that you need to end. Some childhood friends. At some point, you were interesting to each other, but now you have different interests, different values. And maybe this person wants to communicate with you, but he or she does not bring you any benefit or inspiration. Therefore, you definitely need to part with people who prevent you from growing personally. You must understand that if you rise high, become a very great, famous, strong, powerful person, you can do a lot for the world, for your family, and for the whole of society. But for this, you need to rise high, and to rise high, you need to throw off that burden, those people who have stuck to you and want you to stay below, because they understand that if you go up, you will definitely not communicate with them, and they pull you down out of fear of losing you. But if growth and personal development are really the main things for you in life, you will have to part with these people. And then you will go higher and higher and higher. And at some point, you will be surrounded only by those people who help you grow. I am a very happy person because now I am already at the stage where I am surrounded only by those people who help me grow. And of course, I help them grow too. It's important to understand this one principle in a relationship. The principle that both should want something. If both do not want something, that's fine. Each person goes his or her own way. No one bothers anyone. No one bothers or forces anyone. Both of them do not want. And the second option, a wonderful option, the most wonderful, when both want to do something, both love each other, respect each other, and want to do something together. But the most terrible moment in a relationship is when one wants and the other does not. One wants and the other does not. For example, the wife wants and the husband does not want to do something, or the husband wants and the wife does not. So it's important to understand that when one does not want and the other wants, the one who does not want should always win. That is, for example, I want to kiss a girl and she does not want it. Should I kiss her or not? Of course not. That is, her desire is a priority, the desire of a person who does not want. Otherwise, it is abuse. There are a lot of abusive relationships. The second person wants something, and you agree with it. So, you need to learn to listen carefully to yourself, and never do what you do not want. And only do things together that both want. Relationships are a most important topic. Everything is based on relationships. Relationships with oneself, relationships with the Creator, relationships with family, relationships with society. Absolutely everything is based on relationships. This is a huge topic, and we will study it in detail during these 52 weeks. That is why I have given now such basic things. Then we will unpack them, disclose them, so that by the end of this year you will become a master of relationships, that you always understand what type these relationships belong to, and how to properly build these relationships. This is it for today. I really believe in you. I hope that you start believing in yourself more and more, because me believing in you is worthless if it doesn't help you to start believing in yourself more and more. The most important thing is not what others, me, or someone else thinks of you. The most important thing is what you think of yourself. And even if you do not yet have any outstanding results, you will have them. Believe me, you will have them. You can buy some believing in yourself on credit. Start believing in yourself, saying to yourself, I am a great guy. I will succeed. The impossible is possible. Even before you get the results, you will get them even faster. See you tomorrow. Bye.